Kevin, I'm about to unleash the ultimate sword technique on you. I'm giving you one last chance to get down on your knees and admit defeat. Otherwise, I shall end your life right this instant," Sebastian shouted in a cold voice. Deep down, Sebastian wasn't sure whether this would work. After all, he had never mastered this technique either, so he was secretly hoping that Kevin would take the bait of his empty threat and give up. Otherwise, he was worried about drawing Wayne's ire if he failed to perform the ultimate sword technique correctly in front of the entire audience. Despite this, Sebastian had done enough to convince the crowd, including Kevin's few supporters.
"Kevin, admit defeat. Temporary shame is better than losing your life."
Dalton couldn't help but stand up and shout, "Kevin, stop fighting. Let's go home." Lily had tears all over her face. "Kevin, don't be stubborn. It's okay to give up." Phoebe also anxiously pleaded as she ignored the gazes of the surrounding people and stood up. However, Kevin's eyes became more and more determined to fight until the end. As he drew all of his inner strength, he could feel his body becoming stronger and stronger. Even the night dagger in his hands began to tremble violently as he was about to unleash the fiery dagger technique on Sebastian. All of a sudden, Kevin jumped up high into the air and leapt toward Sebastian with all of his strength. Many people who were watching the battle were filled with disgust, especially those who had a grudge against Kevin. What the hell? Does this really want to die? He actually ignored Sebastian's threat? Lionel was in disbelief.
"If Kevin dies, then everything will be settled. His death would rid the world of a great evil,"
Mike replied with a smug look on his face.
"All for the greater good,"
Luther agreed. "Kevin, just remember, you can't blame me for your death," Sebastian shouted as he jumped up to meet Kevin midair. When the two forces collided, there was a cloud of dust around the entire venue, making everyone unable to open their eyes. "No!" Lily and Phoebe let out anguished cries at the same time. It took a few minutes for everyone to recover their sight. When all the dust around them finally cleared up, they opened their eyes wide and were shocked to see Sebastian's pale face as he lay down at the center of the blue arena. He was practically naked, and only the key parts of his body were covered by torn cloth. The sword that he had been wielding had also been shattered into pieces and scattered on the ground. Meanwhile, Kevin was less than 10 yards away from him, panting heavily. While there was blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, he managed to stand tall. This scene left the crowd perplexed.
"Damn, who won? What just happened?"
one of the onlookers asked out loud.
"I think Kevin must have lost,"
one of Sebastian's fans insisted. Meanwhile, Wayne could be seen standing on the platform with his hands behind his back. The referee, who had been standing on the sidelines of the blue arena, was unsure what to do. Since the whole arena had been enveloped by a cloud of dust, he was forced to turn around and close his eyes the entire time, so he couldn't tell who had won either. When he caught Wayne's gaze, he simply shrugged at him.
"What kind of referee are you?"
The other organization's leaders hadn't seen Wayne this furious in many years. Nobody knew who had actually won the match.
"Sir,
The referee didn't know what else to say.
"You're fired. Don't show your face here ever again. Otherwise, you'll have to face my wrath."
Wayne's words were absolute. "Sir, please forgive me." The referee pleaded as he fell to his knees and begged for mercy. Throughout the battle, he did have the intention of favoring Sebastian over Kevin, knowing that he had been trained by Wayne. This was why he had hesitated to call a winner when he saw Sebastian lying naked on the ground after the dust had settled.
"Get him out of my sight."
Wayne waved his hand and said nothing else to him as a row of security personnel proceeded to escort the referee off of the Healing Arts School's property. In an instant, the entire crowd was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Suddenly, everyone feared the figure who was standing on the highest platform.
As both Dean of the Healing Arts School and Enforcer at the Southwest School of Healing, I must protect the lives of all the students and ensure that this competition is judged fairly in order to maintain our code of integrity," Wayne explained righteously and authoritatively. After that, Wayne quickly turned around and looked at Sebastian. "As your mentor, I feel conflicted. On the one hand, I admire your audacity, and I was impressed with how you successfully mastered the swift sword technique. At the same time, attempting a dangerous move that you were clearly still unprepared for was quite reckless. Luckily, you didn't have enough time to try the ultimate sword technique, but there would have been dire consequences had you failed to do it correctly. If you want to stray from the Southwest School of Healing's path, then you can find another school and mentor to train you." As soon as Wayne finished speaking, a few other members of the Southwest School of Healing helped Sebastian get up and escorted him to the Healing Arts School's clinic to get checked. Many of the leaders on the platform, especially Renée, Silver, and Paul Vaughn, had sour expressions on their faces. They knew why Wayne was suddenly so protective of Kevin, even at the expense of one of his own top students. While Sebastian was currently his best fighter, he was no match for the legendary potential that Kevin possessed. As his new favorite, if the other leaders wanted to harm Kevin, they would have to get past Wayne first. Renée wasn't pleased by this latest development. However, she didn't dare to disagree with Wayne, so she had to bite her tongue for the time being. "I now declare Kevin as the official winner of the battle," Wayne announced to everyone. Despite this decision, no one in the crowd was willing to give Kevin a round of applause. After all, nobody really knew what had happened during those few minutes when everything was clouded by dust. How had Sebastian lost so mysteriously? Moreover, those who had ridiculed Kevin earlier guaranteed to everyone that he would definitely lose. Now they only felt like fools knowing that they had been proven wrong yet again. "He really took in an amazing student," Harley Shepard exclaimed with extreme approval. "He really mastered the fiery dagger technique with little experience? Such a talent is definitely someone that the Herbalist Society must have." Nadia Alexander's words were exceptionally firm. But at the moment, Renée decided to speak again. "The final battle will be between the Union and Kevin. Kelly, you can swap with Luna Ellis." "What? Why me?" Kelly Emmett was shocked. "Luna's strength and experience level are so much higher than mine. I'll just end up embarrassing myself and the Union. Why do you doubt my judgment?" Renée raised her eyebrow as she glared at Kelly. "Before our previous leader passed away, he entrusted you, Ariana, and Luna to me. As your superior, you must obey my orders." "But I'm no match for Kevin." Kelly lowered her head and tightly gripped the hem of her shirt. Her eyes were filled with conflicted emotions. "You must do as I say and go to the brown area. That is a direct order, so I don't want to have to repeat myself again," Renée demanded. During Kevin's previous fights against Clarissa, Clyde, and Sebastian, Renée had clearly noticed Kelly's emotional fluctuation. Although she didn't know much about Kelly's connection to Kevin, how could a dignified member of the Union have anything to do with an enemy like him? Seeing that this would complicate things later on, she deliberately wanted Kelly to fight Kevin in order to test where her true loyalty lay. "I want to remind you that Kevin is wearing protective body armor. Apart from his head, there's no other place on his body that can be damaged by swords or daggers," Renée warned her in a cold voice. Hearing that, Kelly suddenly raised her head and looked at Renée with a face full of fear. Didn't this mean that Kevin had to be killed? But how could she bear to do something like that? Kevin had helped her countless times before, and even gave her a few $1 billion worth of power pills. Soon, the rest period had already come to an end, and the final round of the competition was about to begin. Just as the host was about to announce the names of the finalists, Renée suddenly interrupted. "There will be a last-minute substitution competing for the Union." This attracted the criticism of many people. Changing contestants on the spot was against the competition's rules. "Director Silver, this doesn't conform to the rules," the referee explained haltingly.
Rules? Do you want the members of the union to be injured in the competition because of their lack of stamina? Besides, your boss, Mr. Ford, didn't object to this at all. Do you want me to call him over here? Renee asked with a condescending tone.
This?
The referee was merely a new professor at the Healing Arts School. He didn't dare to offend an esteemed leader of the union and risk losing his job. Kelly, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and enter the arena. Under Renee's instructions, Kelly had no choice but to comply as she quickly grabbed her sword and walked towards the brown area. The host of the competition took a deep breath and announced,
"The final round of the competition will feature Kevin Williams, representing the Healing Arts School, versus Kelly Emmett of the Union."
As Kelly entered the brown area, Kevin frowned slightly as he looked at her. He then turned his head and looked up at the platform. He figured that the last-minute change had deliberately been made by Renee just to target him. Is this the so-called righteous faction? Kevin disdainfully thought to himself as he shook his head. As he channeled the energy inside his body, he noticed that his strength level now was much weaker compared to yesterday. Despite having taken the Night King's crystal pill and 2 supreme pills earlier, it was obvious that all the injuries and damage he had accumulated since the night before had not yet fully healed. "You can leave now. I don't want to fight with a friend," Kevin advised Kelly in a low voice. "I can't, and I won't go down without putting up a fight," Kelly replied as her body trembled. On top of everything that they had been through, she had been watching all of Kevin's battles intently today. What chance did she have against him? "Then do you think you can defeat me?" Kevin had never expected the Union to win the competition. He hadn't fought anyone from either the Healers Academy of the West or the Northern Institute for Natural Healing. Also, if I may ask, what does the Union stand for? It's such a short and cryptic name compared to the other schools. Shut up. Do you have a death wish or something? The Union is one of the top 10 organizations, and Director Silver is definitely someone that you can't afford to provoke, Kelly warned. Meanwhile, Kevin's friends began to discuss this awkward matchup as well.
"Is it just me, or is the Union's leader intentionally targeting Kevin?" Dalton asked Penny and Mackenzie.
"What a d***. I can't believe she would do such a thing," Mackenzie fumed. At first, Kevin's ability to enter the final round had given her a glimmer of hope to save her grandfather, but she didn't expect the Union to be so shameless in pitting him against Kelly. Penny let out a long sigh and reached out to hug Mackenzie, wanting to comfort her. The situation was so dire, but all they could do now was to watch and wait for the final outcome. The fate of this matchup should be a win for any of the top 10 organizations. Anyway, the final victor will be the one who will be sent to kill that thief Roger Knott. It might as well be a cop with lots of experience. So for old time's sake, why don't you just forfeit? I don't want to have to fight you for this, Kelly implored. On the way to the Brown area, Kelly had already come to a decision. Although Kevin had helped her many times, she had been with the Union since she was a teenager. Being with them for more than 10 years already, she practically grew up with them and had been taught many things by her mentor, Renee. Thus, her friendship with Kevin seemed very small in comparison, and she was willing to sacrifice that in order to prove her loyalty, as well as to make a name for herself as the one who killed Roger Knott. Besides, if Kevin agreed to forfeit, Kelly figured that she would find an opportunity after the competition to make amends and treat him to a meal as compensation. Kelly, come on now. Did you really have the nerve to say those words? Then why don't you give me the chance instead? Anyway, you already have the Union behind you, and there will be more opportunities for you to become famous in the future, Kevin retorted. So you're saying that there's no room for negotiation and you insist on fighting for it? Kelly asked as she held her sword tightly and pointed it at Kevin. I never imagined that you would one day point a sword at me like this. Kevin had yet to draw the night dagger from his pocket. Even at this awkward moment, he still treated Kelly as a friend. I don't know what misunderstanding you have with Director Silver, but as a friend, I advise you to apologize to her. Although you've proven yourself to be a worthy competitor today, there are still a lot of people in this world who are stronger and more experienced than you, Kelly advised him. When he heard her say that, Kevin suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. If you want to fight, then just say so. Why do you have to say such things to pretend that you're being nice? You're only fooling yourself. Overhearing their exchange, Sherwin Blair suddenly stood up and shouted loudly, Kevin, what kind of a man are you? You're actually going to attack my fiancé? I thought you were just a useless son-in-law, but it seems that you're a backstabbing friend as well. Kevin, even if you win, you'll still be a piece of trash for taking advantage of a respected police officer in our community, Mike sneered. First it was Clarissa. Now you're about to fight Officer Emmett? Do you think that beating up women will make you more of a man? Lionel fumed. Don't underestimate Officer Emmett. She's very strong and as tough as nails. I hope she humiliates you in front of everyone, Luther added. As always, Kevin didn't care what the crowd thought of him. He simply blocked out all the noise and let their voices drown each other out. At the same time, Wayne had walked to Renee's side. I can see right through your plan inserting Kelly into the mix. What kind of hatred do you have for Kevin? Director Silver slowly turned her head when she heard this. She gave Wayne a deep look and said with a cold smile, What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. Luna has already participated in 3 exhausting rounds of fighting. She's already depleted her strength, and I had to step in to protect her. When Wayne simply raised his eyebrow at her, Renee continued, At the end of the day, I just want the best possible chance to kill Roger Knott, and I feel that the Union has much better fighters to offer compared to Kevin. Besides, he's just new to all of this, so I don't trust him one bit to get the job done. If you don't want your prize student to badly get beaten and humiliated, you can just stop the competition right now and hand Roger over to us. When the surrounding leaders heard this, they couldn't help but gasp in surprise. The Healing Arts School's connection to the top 10 organizations was really a strange one. Although it was jointly founded by the 10 organizations, in the years that had passed, the school had long since broken away from their control and become an independent organization. Unlike the other organizations, where students would go on to take bigger roles internally once they had graduated, students who graduated from the Healing Arts School would usually move on to join any of the top 10 organizations, typically as herbalist professors or martial arts instructors to their students. And even if Wayne remained affiliated with the Southwest School of Healing as an enforcer, he separated his roles and responsibilities in both schools as much as he could. Still, leaders from the other organizations were afraid of the Southwest School of Healing for that very reason. However, given how powerful Wayne was, it had been many years since anyone dared to speak to him like this within their circle. In the past, all of the leaders knew that Renee had a violent temper, but they didn't know that she was actually this fiery. Are you implying that my school's students aren't good enough compared to yours? Harley Shepard slowly stood up and questioned her. He couldn't take Renee's insults any longer. Was there going to be a battle in the stands before Kevin and Kelly even had a chance to fight? Renee Silver had sent Kelly Emmett as a last-minute substitute, pitting her against Kevin during the final round. Despite feeling conflicted, Kelly eventually put her loyalty to the Union first. When Kevin refused her plea to forfeit, they had no choice but to accept their upcoming battle. When Wayne Ford questioned Renee's motives against Kevin, she claimed that the Union had much better candidates to kill Roger Knott, urging Wayne to just hand him over to her. Not being able to take Renee's insults to the Healing Arts School any longer, Harley Shepard stepped in to defend his students. The atmosphere on the big platform suddenly became quite tense as Harley walked towards Renee, who was standing next to Wayne. Were they trying to put pressure on the Union? Wayne, Harley, what's the meaning of this? Didn't I tell you that Kevin did all kinds of evil things? Are you too blinded by the talent that he's shown today? We have to get rid of him for the greater good, Renee insisted. When Renee saw Wayne and Harley getting irked by this, she continued, Although the two of you are a powerful duo, can you really go against the rest of us? Wayne replied loudly,
If you really think the Union is better than everyone else, then don't drag the other organizations down with you. And if you have nothing better to do than to disrespect the competition, then I think it would be best for you to leave right now. Otherwise, don't prevent the competition from continuing."
When Wayne finished speaking, the eyes of all the other leaders opened wide. Is the Union deliberately going to argue with the Healing Arts School? Do you really think our school is afraid of the Union? Harley had reached his boiling point with Renée, shattering years of peaceful coexistence. However, just as Harley was about to attack Renée, Wayne stopped him. Renée finally agreed. Maybe you're right. Only time will tell which of us gets the last laugh. When they heard this, everyone was shocked. They could sense a possible war brewing between the two sides and felt that today's confrontation was just the beginning.
From today onwards, all members who are affiliated with the Union will be expelled from the Healing Arts School. We also won't be hiring any of their members moving forward.
Wayne then turned around and addressed the two combatants.
Kevin, Kelly, listen up. Either of you can admit defeat now, otherwise you'll have to fight to the death.
Wayne's ultimatum caused everyone within earshot to panic. Even those who had wished to get rid of Kevin couldn't believe it. Is this for real? Are you really going to become enemies with the Union? Paul Vaughn was shocked. Didn't we agree that the winner of the competition would be determined according to the referee's ruling? Why did it suddenly become a life or death battle? Nadia asked with concern. Oh my God, what did our dean say just now? The Healing Arts School students began to murmur amongst themselves. For a moment, they wondered if there was something wrong with their ears. Until today, the relationship between the top 10 organizations and the Healing Arts School had always been very good. What now? Did you hear what your dean said? If you forfeit now, we can still be friends, Kelly said coldly. I've promised some people that I'll win this competition, so unfortunately I have to honor my word to them, Kevin answered seriously. He'd promised Mackenzie he'd save her grandfather, so he had to be true to his word. All of a sudden, Kelly rushed towards Kevin. When she arrived in front of him, she waved her sword and attacked. With a loud clang, the sharp sword brushed against his body, generating a burst of intense sparks. Lily and Dalton, who were concerned about Kevin, immediately stood up from their seats to check on him. Thankfully, Kevin had been wearing his body armor, and when they saw that he wasn't injured, they both heaved a sigh of relief. I just noticed that Kevin is wearing some sort of powerful body armor. A greedy look flashed across Paul's eyes. I'm curious as to what type of material it's made of. You should be careful of what you say, Paul. Didn't you see what happened to the Union? Do you want to end up banished like them? Jeffrey Bowie nudged him and tried to warn him. Then they both looked at Renée. She was watching the fight with her fists clenched. Her face was filled with anger. This wasn't how she'd envisioned things turning out when the competition started. Her relationship with the Healing Arts School had suddenly become damaged, and now that the entire Union had been banished, she felt that she'd let her entire organization down. In her mind, this was all Kevin's fault. Kelly must kill Kevin at all costs. Only when that dies will the Union's losses be minimized, Renée thought to herself. When nobody was looking, she casually threw something towards the arena. Back at the brown area, Kevin was continuously dodging each strike from Kelly's sword. Up until then, he was hesitant about fighting her. Did one of them really have to die? But just as Kevin was about to make a move, he got stung in the face and neck multiple times. Thinking that a swarm of bees had just randomly flown by, he quickly brushed them off. However, as he winced from the pain, he could also feel a strong force pulling him. A second later, he found himself involuntarily moving towards the sharp blade of Kelly's sword.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.